This is Jeremy Duran, and this is No Holds Podcast. We're striving to have real and raw conversations with real and raw responses. No holding back on what you feel or believe. This isn't your ordinary Christian podcast. We are unscripted and unedited, a conversation with questions that are not commonly asked or talked about in the local church. What's up, guys? This is Jeremy with No Holds, and I'm here with James Redicott, man. What's going on, bro?
How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, man. How's everything going with you? How's your life going?
It's going good.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, man. I know who you are, but I don't think everybody knows who you are. So go ahead and give us a little background.
Well, I'm James Redicott, and I run a small digital marketing agency with a couple of my partners here in Seminole, and I am getting married in about a week. Next weekend I'm getting married, so.
Dude, you excited?
I'm excited. Pretty stoked.
Yeah. Dude, and who's officiating your wedding?
This guy, Jeremy is. Yeah.
Dude, I'm stoked about that, but I am very nervous, dude, because I've never done it before, so I don't know what to expect. But
no, it'll be good though. It'll be good. That's
why
we chose you. You're a close family friend. That's what we wanted.
Hey, I appreciate you,
yes,
man.
Yes, sir.
Today we're gonna actually talk about emotions. We're gonna talk about why men hide their emotions. Why are men so prideful, to be emotional, pretty much? Are you an emotional guy, James?
I am now. Now I am.
And why is that? Like, what makes you emotional?
I feel things like really deep. I take art very seriously. If I listen to a song like NF's last album, I was like, man, I feel this, I relate. So, and everything I just feel deeply. I love my wife or future wife very much, and I love my friends a lot. So, I like to express it. Now I do. Now I like to express it.
Yeah, I remember when you were in youth and we had a ski trip, and we did a hot seat. It was actually there was maybe about 6 of us there. 5 of us. Not real sure, but we did a hot seat, and each one of us got to open up. And when it came to you, man, I remember you opening up, and man, you were never like that. I've never heard you open up like that, man. How was that experience?
It was awesome. I don't remember exactly what I said. I know what I probably said, but I remember the moment, it was just that there was guys there that were doing the same thing, older leaders, and it was like, well, if you feel comfortable, you usually don't see older men doing that same thing, and whenever they do that, you're like, oh, it's normal to do that. Usually you think it's kind of not normal, so it felt good, get a lot off your chest like that.
Oh, yeah, man, I'm not, well, I would say, back then I was very emotional. When growing up, man, I would cry for anything. It didn't matter what it was. I would cry for anything. I'm not really going to go into detail why, because that's for a later episode. But man, I was a crybaby back then. But as I grew, and after I met Andrea, we got married, I wasn't as emotional as I was back then. And I don't know why that was. Maybe, I don't know. It's just very hard for me to be emotional. It's hard for me to even open up. I'm still getting used to opening up to people.
Yeah.
But you growing up, were you emotional as growing up?
I remember being emotional till I was 13, and then I'm not going to go deep in with all the stuff that happened, but something happened in my life, and then it made me really emotional. I took it really hard, and then I guess I found out that's really hard to deal with. To talk to people and then people not really get it. So I learned, and I cried a lot. I did. So I learned not to cry and just to bottle up, which I guess emotions can be anything, right? So that bottling it up and making sure I don't talk about it, that turned into anger. So I did deal with a lot of anger. I still get really frustrated with myself. I don't get angry at people, but I can get really angry at myself. So that's probably a consequence of me learning to bottle things up, I guess, and it just, at the time, it feels better. You think that's the only way to do it. Yeah. And now you get older, and wow, I'm not dealing with things very well, and you see that as a consequence. So.
I don't know if your dad was like this, but when my dad was still alive, he would always say, man, don't cry. Don't you cry. Don't you cry. I don't want to see you cry. And I don't know why that was. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen my dad cry. I don't think I even heard him cry, honestly. But that was one thing that he always told me, don't you cry. Man, I remember getting hit with a baseball. I was playing third base and I got hit with a baseball and everybody's like, "Oh, you okay?" My dad walks over there and he just kind of bends down, whispers in my ear, "You better not cry. You better not cry." So that I don't know if that stayed with me the whole time, and that's why I'm not as emotional as I used to be.
Yeah.
But was your dad ever like that to you?
My dad never really said don't cry. He up to most of our life, a lot of me and my dad were able to talk about a lot and deal with stuff that happened, but we didn't really talk deeply about things. I come from the midnight culture, and that's just kind of ingrained in the midnights, not talking about feelings or depression. Even though the older you get, I have friends who one of my best friends. He also comes from a midnight culture, and the older you get, we start to kind of when you're a teenager, you don't really know what depression is, and then you just kind of get slammed with it, and you're trying to figure it out. You don't talk about it because in the midnight culture you don't talk about that. But the older we got, we're like, man, a lot of these midnight men, they are depressed, and they're dealing with it because they can't talk about it, so they deal with it in harmful ways. And I'm not saying that's just midnights, that's the culture I come from, so I'm not trying to call anyone out, but that's the culture I come from, that's where I see it a lot. And so that's and that was just really ingrained in him. I wasn't really raised midnight at all, but that was just ingrained in him. Not ingrained in him like bad, like we talked about stuff and everything, but I just saw the culture and I just didn't like talking about my feelings. And, and that's so he never straight up told us, it was just the culture I was raised in, I guess. Around it was we just don't talk about our feelings, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, like why is it important to open up though?
I never really saw the importance until lately, or about a year back. My friend came back into my life due to my fiance. She just invited him over, and I was like, why? We hadn't talked in a couple of years. After high school, we just kind of fell our own ways, and we were both dealing with stuff. And then she randomly invited him over, and then and I was like, why did you invite him over? This is gonna be weird. But after we got past the weirdness, we started talking about what happened, what we've been dealing with, and we both grown up so we could talk about the stuff we were dealing with. And then we realized we were dealing with almost the same exact path, just alone because we couldn't talk about it, and that's why we fell apart. So I think the more it's hard as a man because you're just like you're expected not to be emotional, and so you can't talk about it with your friends because you're like, what if they judge me? And I don't know. Like I think it's important, and it's hard for men because I think a lot of pop culture. I remember being a kid, I listened to metal and emo music, and always the music videos always had like girls in there. They kind of, not purposely, I don't think there's like a conspiracy, but there is a part in pop culture where it's like women are the only ones that are depressed. And it's not right. Men, the higher rate of suicide rate is men. And I think we can't talk about it. No one wants to talk about it. No one really cares because they're supposed to be able to deal with it. But I talked to my friend about it, and now we're friends because now we can talk about it. Anything we go through now, we can talk about it. And I'm very blessed to have that. A lot of men don't have that. But like we might have been friends that whole time and dealt with it if we knew how to talk about it. It just took growing up, I guess.
Yeah, but why is it like, why do you feel like men don't want to open up? Women, of course, man, they can open up about anything. Because I know my wife, when she talks to her friends, like, man, they can go on and they can just talk about anything. Sometimes whenever I'm talking to somebody, it's like, hey, what's up? Like, what's up?
Yeah.
Are you good? Yeah, I'm good. What about yourself? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, and then we leave it at that. Why is it so hard for us to open up? Like, what? I know some of us have pride, and we don't want to be called like, oh, that dude is, he's a crybaby. But I do also have friends, dude, who are emotional and they hate it. But man, I love that about them because it's so real.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you think that's wise? Because people are afraid to actually be real with one another because they don't know how they're gonna take it.
Yeah, I think like they don't know. Like you don't know how other guys are gonna take it because you kind of assume that all guys are just these strong men, and then you're like, oh, I'm the only one who's not, because everyone can put up a front.
Oh yeah.
And then you end up putting up a front for them, and who knows how many guys are putting up a front because they just see the other guys putting up a front. And I think it is just pride and the way men are around each other. It's very competitive. Men are competitive, and they're like, oh, I'm not dealing with that, or I don't care about that, and that's whatever. And like when I used to work, and when we talked about girls, I was always kind of shy, but I was like, yeah, I really like my girl. I love her. and then they're like, no, that's better like a word. They would say that's gay or something.
No.
And then you gotta go out and do your thing. Don't get held
Mhm.
down by a girl. Those guys are all married.
Yeah.
You know, they probably love their wife just as much, but they just can't admit it. You know, so it's like, I don't know what it is. It's just the admittance. And then when you start talking to people, men like you, like I saw you, and you're like, oh, here's a grown man who can really step out of his comfort zone and do it. And that's important, having leaders that do it.
Yeah, dude, it's actually taken me a while to open up. I never really used to open up. I was just, I didn't really know how to. You know, growing up, it was just my mom, and I never had that one-on-one conversation. Like, you know, I don't know if you ever had like you were saying you had deep conversations with your dad.
Not deep. Well, we would every now and then. Like, it would really take a lot to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but usually, and I would avoid it. So that's no one's fault but mine. And it's not like, and he, you know, men have to be strong, and they think they have to be strong for their family. So it's not like he would talk about what's going on in his life.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, that's what we do, right? We gotta be strong for our family,
Mhm.
because we think that the only way to be strong is to make sure, pretend like we have no emotions.
Yeah, and man, I think doing that, it like puts a whole lot of pressure on men. And then I think that's why they end up getting depressed and start thinking about suicide, start thinking about harming themselves. Like, man, I'm blessed to have friends that I have who check up on me.
Yeah.
And they want me to open up. You know, sometimes it is hard for me to open up because I can be maybe a little too real about things.
Mm-hmm.
And I can get in trouble for that. My wife always tells me, man, you just, you know, watch what you say around people, because my mouth does get me in trouble sometimes. But like, do you have a circle that you can go to?
I have a circle. I really have one friend that I can really talk to about this kind of stuff. And I'm not going to name him because he'll probably get mad at me or something. But I have one friend that I can really go to. And he's kind of like you, I guess, what you're saying. Like, it takes a lot. I have to kind of coax him out of it. Because for me, I'm very comfortable around him. And he's comfortable around me. But he still likes to, I have to coax things out. Like, I can tell.
Yeah.
I've known you almost my whole life. I can tell there's something wrong. And he can do the same thing. Like, I can tell there's something wrong. But I don't have a whole circle, and that kind of comes with marriage, I guess. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and at this age, some guys are not getting married, some guys are not getting married. So, I'm going on a different lifestyle. No more going out trying to find girls or anything, which I never really did. Either way,
Yeah.
I got lucky and just stayed there. So.
No, man, I know when you get married, dude, it's very important to me. And I know we're going on 11 years. Like, it's important to open up to your wife, you know, just so y'all know where y'all are at. But not only that, to also just pray for one another.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm just now honestly starting to open up to my wife. And that is one thing we both agreed with not too long ago, was like, hey, let's just be real with one another. If you're going through something, let me know. You know, I want to know. I want to be able to help you out. Like, I mean, that's why you're married. That's why you become one.
Yeah.
You're doing life together. I'm not going to leave my wife behind, and I'm going to keep pursuing what God wanted me to do. You know, no, she's coming with me.
Yeah.
If she's struggling with something, hey, what's up? Like, let me help you.
Yeah.
What is it? Like, man, I think that is very important, is when you can open up. And not only that, has your wife, or soon-to-be wife, has she ever seen you cry?
Yes.
And what was her reaction to that?
I think the first time, I'm trying to think, because now I'm comfortable around her, so now I'll cry, but I think the first time, I think I kind of opened up about, like, why I do certain things, and why I'm scared of certain things. Like, a big thing was, when are we going to get married, I guess, right? And she was wanting to get married. And for me, I don't want to go into this too much, but my parents split up. So, like, I had this thing about marriage. It's freaked me out. Even though I have the best fiance, it freaked me out. And that was a big thing. And eventually, that was kind of a problem. Not a problem, but she was always like, when do we want to do it? You know, we've been dating this long. And she was right. I mean, I wanted to get married, but it was scary to me. And I think I opened up about why I feel this way, and how I was hurt, and how I didn't want to do that same thing or something. Yeah. And which helps a lot. We're still, like, you know, we're just getting married, so we're still learning. You can tell that we both bear burdens that we don't need to bear alone.
Oh, yeah.
and we have to tell each other sometimes, like if she's sad or something about work, and I have to tell her like talk to me or something, and she does the same thing. Like I don't want to put that stress of my business onto her, but it's a learning process. She's seen me cry, I've seen her cry, and we're a lot more open than we were, of course, when we started dating. So,
what you said now you're just now starting to be emotional around her. You said
no, I've been emotional for about. I mean, it's probably been a year. Like we dated for 2 years, and it got really serious about it like a year. Like we were like, this is actually not before a year, because before the wedding or this October, we will have been engaged for a year, and so before about a couple months or a few months before that, I've been thinking about it, scared, but thinking about it because I knew I wanted to.
Yeah.
I was just procrastinating it because it freaked me out, but before that, we had just like talked about it a lot, and we talked about getting a house or whatever, and she was very good. Like she's awesome because whenever I was living at my apartment, like I was all by myself, and I was lonely, and everything was going wrong, and I was just super depressed. Everything was going wrong. I didn't know where my life was going. She made me buy a dog, my dog that I have now, Obi. And I was like, no, we're not buying a dog. I cannot afford a dog. I cannot provide a dog. Well, she made me buy it. She doesn't take no for an answer very easily. And that's one of the best things that ever happened to me, that little dog. It brought me out of a really bad rut. So she, like sometimes we won't talk about, we'll just do things for each other. Like that. That's one thing I always remember. Like, she got me that dog because she knew I needed it. And I was like, no. And she just did it anyway. She brought home a dog. I was like, dang it, what am I going to do? And I had this little dog that I learned how to care about, and now that's my best friend, or like my little buddy, and that's what we do that a lot. Like we'll see someone hurting or each other hurting, we'll try to do something for them.
Gotcha.
And try to bear that burden with them.
Yeah, oh yeah. When y'all were first dating, were you ever emotional around her? Did she ever see you cry, or were you?
No, she didn't see me cry. I didn't, because of course we were just starting dating, and she was a hard shell.
Yeah.
She was less emotional than I was at the time, or she didn't like showing it. And so I was very lovey-dovey because I was like, I had a girlfriend so long, so I was just like, man, I got a girl, I got to try to keep this one. Like, I got to figure out how she's going to stay. And so I was very lovey-dovey, and at first she was not. Like, it was kind of a weird dynamic, and I'm glad I pushed through it because I was like, because I'm the first one that said love you to her. Then she drove away.
Oh, dude, no, I understand. I think I was the first one to tell Andrea too that I loved her. So no,
yeah.
But she still stayed with me though. So
yeah, Jenny did too. And then like
we're good.
Like
we're
2 months later, she said it back. It only took 2 months. But yeah, I mean, I've been chipping at that shell. So and now we're both very open with our emotions and our love. Of course, we're getting married, so we have to be open about the love. I mean that's why we are getting married, because we finally got there or whatever. So
yeah, oh yeah. What about your friends? I know you have that one friend. What about any other friends? Have they ever seen you cry, or do you usually put up a front? When it comes to say like a movie or anything, or I don't know. Maybe you're listening to something and you're just like, man, I want to cry so bad, but I'm gonna hold it in.
I know for a few times, like at my work. We'll be listening. I was listening to NF by My Stress by NF, and it was one of those weeks where just like things were going hard. I was like, man, this song's right here, right? It hits me. And my one coworker was like, oh yeah, I feel that. Like I love what we do, but it's hard sometimes. That's what that song's about. And then I better not say his name, but my coworker, he's like, no, I just don't feel emotion in songs. Like, and I really do. So I kind of opened that up that I'm really emotional in songs. Well, my other friends, like. What I do with my other friends, like, we'll joke about, like, trauma or, like, something that went through our life, that why we are. We make jokes about it.
No, yeah.
Which is kind of, like, the best way you can with some guys. Is just joke about, like, that happened, and that's why I'm so messed up or something.
Yeah.
Like, that's... So with my other friends, I usually just joke about it. And they'll do the same thing, or they'll joke about a girl that screwed them or something, and then I'll just joke about, oh, yeah, this happened, and I was so dumb or something, and... sometimes it's good enough, I guess, for some guys,
Oh yeah. What about in church? Was there ever a moment to where the presence was just, you had felt it so strong on you that you wanted to break down, but you didn't?
See, I know, like, it took me a little bit when I went to church, And now I don't really go to church, so I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to like put up a front or anything. I don't go to church, and I'm kind of like in between what I believe and whatnot. But whenever I was in church, it did take a little bit because of course, I grew up in a midnight culture church. We didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, your church was a little bit different, or our church back then, and it did take a little bit. But once I was into it a lot, I really could feel the emotions and the love, and yeah. I don't know what else to say about that because I don't want to get too much into beliefs and stuff. Or maybe we should. I don't know. That's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one
Like,
talking, man.
yeah.
You can. Whatever's on your heart, you can speak about it.
Yeah. On my heart, I don't know. I'll just say because I don't want people to watch this. I want to be honest.
Go
I want people to watch this and say I felt the presence because I did back then. Now I'm in between. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused, I guess, and there's some stuff that I'm trying to figure out, I guess, about the Bible and stuff. I still love it, or I love the Christian culture. Like, that's why I want you to do the ceremony, because I know you're going to put verses and stuff in the message, and I love all that. But for me right now, personally, I'm trying to figure out stuff. I kind of took a dip through high school, or after high school, and
it's all good, man.
so I don't want anyone to see me as a role model for Christianity right now. That's what I was trying to get at. Like, I'm no role model for that, at least. Yeah.
No, you're good, man. No, you were. I remember when you first started going. Man, you were straight up. I guess it was emo.
Yes.
Right. Man, you were skater.
I was skater. I think I came to church every Wednesday with a skull on my shirt. I was like, this is how it's going down. I'm wearing a skull.
I think, yeah.
And I was really into Christian metal. And the Christian metal back then, I don't know. I don't really keep up with metal anymore. I don't listen to metal. But they were like, we're metal. We are Christian, but we're metal, and we're going hardcore. So I had a Christian metal shirt, and it was metal. It had skulls and death and stuff. I was like, this is how I come to church, and backwards hats. Yeah, I was all into the skater. Yeah, that's when I was like, really like angry, and when I first started going, and going to that church and having that community, having you, like, it was like it helped a lot get out of all that.
Yes, man. Dude, honestly, I can't even recall you ever being angry. Every time I would see you, it was, James, you were always smiling.
Yeah.
Like, how hard is it to hide that anger when you're around people like that?
I've never my anger was always focused towards me, I guess. Usually. I always went through, whenever I was in high school, I very much hated myself. Like, I did not like myself. And
why is that? Like, what did you see wrong with yourself?
It's one of those things, you look at guys and they always have the pretty girls or the best stuff, comparison. And then also, like, I was going through some drama and I felt a lot of it was my fault, but I didn't know how to fix it. And it was like, everything was just hard and you couldn't talk about it, and I was just insecure about everything and stuff like that. So, and I just had no direction in my life. I was like, I want to be a film director, and that's what I want to do, and it was stupid, and what, but then I'll be like, whoa, what's something normal? I don't know. I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life, and it was just like, man, I just wish I could be normal. It was like a big thing. It was, I don't know. It's kind of weird, like, and I still, like, I fight insecurities to this day. I fight self-hatred every day, even though I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
It's, I think this is the third time I reference NF, but I really admired him, I guess, because he's like a guy, he has it all kind of like, not all, but he has the job he likes, and then he has the wife that loves him, and I have both of those things. I love my job, and I have a wife who supports me, and I still feel I was about to say a bad word. My bad. I still feel crappy about myself sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'll have, like, my friends would say, oh, it makes no sense. Well, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. You know, stuff like that don't make sense. And
yeah, man. It's. I don't know if I can answer that. Because I've felt the same way. You know, I have people who love me. You know, I have a wife. I have kids, man. But even, you know, going through those struggles, like I said on the last podcast, like, man, yeah, I actually thought about committing suicide because it was like, man, I have everything there, but there was still something missing. Like, I knew who Jesus is. I know who he is, you know, like, I know who he is, but it was still like I still hated myself because of, man, just because of my past. But I think what helped too was just opening up and having the friends around me to encourage me.
Yeah.
You know, being that ear, you know, that somebody that you can just go and talk to, and they'll just listen to you. They won't judge you for anything.
Yeah. No, it's important having men in your life, like you know, Jenny, like my fiance, she'll talk to me and help me, but it's important to have those guys that know, like, there's stuff that I don't get that women go through, but there's stuff that guys need to talk about, and they need to learn. I think guys need to learn a little bit more, because once guys start talking, they're like, they'll make jokes throughout, but then they get to the deep. Like, that's how it always happens with me. Oh, we'll make jokes about something like that's going on, and then we'll go deep, and then why?
All right, guys. Sorry, we had some difficulties, but we are back. Dang phone! I need to give me a camera. I'm working on it.
Almost there.
Yeah, but man, I'm sorry, James.
All good, all good. I
But
think
we can get back to what we were talking
Okay.
about. I'm sorry.
all good. So I guess we were. I think I had said that we were talking about the guys on guys, and yeah, guys need to just. They need to kind of get together. It's hard because guys don't want to. It's like, we don't want to talk about feelings because we don't want to make ourselves look weak. But once you do, you realize that these other guys are going through the same thing, probably something similar, or at least feeling the same way in a different situation.
Yeah.
And then you can probably rationalize with each other and say, you got this going on. You don't have to feel like that, and it helps. It's not always helps all the way, but it helps to have the guys in your life to talk about stuff like that.
Oh yeah, man. Like I said, I'm thankful for who I have in my life, and man, especially my wife, who is just willing to listen to me. You know, not to say that she's worried, but she gets concerned sometimes. You know, she knows when there's something wrong with me, but I'm glad that she can be like, hey, just what's wrong? Just tell me right now. And we've learned to communicate better, because I know sometimes I can talk to her and she'd kind of get a little upset. Same thing with me. Like, she would talk to me and I would get maybe just impatient.
Yeah.
But I've learned to just be patient. And we both learned to be patient with each other and just open up. Man, is there any an experience that you had to where when you did open up, it didn't go your way?
This is one of the reasons why I shut down, because I think I told my friends, oh no, they were joking about depression. I was in high school. I was a little bit younger. And then I defended it. Like, they're, it's easy to make, they're looking for attention jokes, right? And I think I used to make those jokes because I felt like that, and it was like dark humor, it's a way to deal with it. It's not a healthy way to deal with it, but it's a way to deal with it. And then, but they had made it and they meant it, like it was not a joke, like, or whatever, like that's really how they thought. And I defended it, and they shut it down, and I was like, okay, so we can't talk about this. So I never really opened up, but I saw that as an opportunity not to open up. I was like, that's a negative, and I think that's where it got really hard to talk to my friends about it, and then of course then you get older and you're like, oh, you start talking, and you're like, yeah, we were feeling the same way, but we're just too dumb to talk. But
dude, I know, and I don't know if this is with you, but I know with me, we can have a group of guys back in the day, just a group of guys, and it'd be like we'll be talking, joking around, but once everybody leaves and it's just like the two of us, so easy.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And why is it that it's so easy to talk to, say it's just me and you, compared to having a group of guys that can also maybe help with it, with what we're dealing with?
I think for me, for the reason that's why is because I know the select people I trust with that information, I guess, and I know they won't make light of it or something, or and the thing is, it's a dumb probably reason, because probably all those guys are dealing with something and they would love to get out their chest, and maybe that's a missed opportunity to be able to talk about it, but it's it is hard. And then once you get down to the person you definitely know that's not going to make light of it, that's where it's easy, but it's always that fear of judgment, I guess.
Dude, yeah, I know there have been times to where, man, I probably could have talked to some people that are probably dealing with depression, and sometimes we end up just kind of pushing it away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just feel like, man, I don't. Not to say you don't have time, but a lot of the time, yeah, people just say, I don't want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
And I think with them doing that, man, they can probably stop people from maybe, you know, committing suicide.
Yeah.
Maybe even thinking like, hey, man, this is what I want to do. Like I don't like I want to end my life. You
Yeah.
know? And have you ever had anybody open up to you about that?
No, I've well, I know I've talked to people who said that they were dealing with it, like some younger kid or something.
Mm.
But that was always a hard thing for me to talk about, because I think like the young kids that would talk to me about it, they were hoping I had an answer, and at the time I was dealing with suicidal thoughts.
Mm.
And I was like, I don't have an answer. I don't know what to say. I would say the generic answer or whatever, but I would like encourage them like not to do it, whatever. But that was always hard for me, because I was like, man, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I have no advice, really, no hard advice, because nothing I've tried has worked.
Did you open up about suicide? Did you get to open up to anybody, or did you just mainly hold it in and then?
I held it in until I didn't feel like it anymore.
Mm.
And then I would talk to people.
How did that affect you?
It makes you shut down easily, and I still deal with that. Not as much now, but at like my old jobs, if like I got really overwhelmed, I would shut down, and I couldn't really talk to anyone. And I still do that in really high stress situations,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's how I learned to like I would shut those feelings down, because that's the easiest way to deal with it. And now I still deal with that. Like it becomes a habit, you know. And then you're like, well, that was easy last time, so your mind just like that. Well, this is too much thought. Let's just shut down. And yeah, so it's not healthy, and I had to learning to deal with the ramifications. I could have people I can talk to about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would probably been better if I knew how to deal with it at the time those things were happening.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like people are scared to open up about that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, men would be men.
Yeah.
You know, their pride is going to get in the way of like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. You know, I don't cry. I don't do anything. You know, but
Yeah.
I feel like if you're a real man, dude, you're going to show emotion. If you're a real man, like if something were to happen to you, I would break down and cry.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with my family. Like, dude, I would, for sure, like I would lose it. No.
Yeah.
And I think people are scared to open up. You know, even maybe about with their wives. You know, I have a shirt that says "I love my wife." I'm not scared to say. I'm not scared to wear it.
And that's where I really learned to like swallow my pride and be like, because I used to work with guys, and they were just, that was like a taboo thing to say. You know, it's weird, right? It shouldn't be a taboo thing to say. I was like, I love her. There's just nothing to say about it. I love her, and whatever girl you're showing me on your Instagram, I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's not hot to me. I got my girl at home, and she's mine. Yeah.
No, men are built different. You know?
Yeah, and we are like how do you say that? Like, we're built to support, and we're built to like, that's always on my mind. You know, like, am I gonna be good enough? Like, you know, I'm getting married, and probably down the future I might have kids. Like, will I be good enough? Like, will I be able to support that? And that's a scary, scary thought.
Oh, yeah.
It's a scary thought now. Like, am I gonna be able to support a wife? And the 2 dogs we have now, that's already hard enough. You know, yeah. Like, I think the role of supporting, like, I'm glad to take that role, but it's a lot of pressure to like figure out, like, am I gonna do good enough?
Yeah.
And you know, guys, they love to hate on the guy who didn't do right, and you're like, I don't want to be that guy to hate on. Like, oh, look at that guy, he screwed up, he can't do anything for his wife. And that's the thing, guys love to hate on that. You know, if we're doing someone better, then we're like, hey, look at that guy. At least I'm not doing that bad.
Dude, and that's crazy that you say that. Like you said, we're men are pretty much, their minds are just competition.
Yeah.
You know, if let's say if somebody is doing good, somebody just got blessed, you know, somebody's successful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how in the heck are they successful? Like that makes no sense. And you end up putting that guy down, and it's like, you're not better than him because of what you just said.
Yeah.
And
it just makes you feel better, because
yeah, you're trying to make yourself feel better, even though you're not. But it's just like you're speaking all that stuff out, you know, and I believe, you know, your words are powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know how, I just know so many guys that do that. Like, they just love to hate on the guy that's not doing as well as them. Or, oh, that guy only has that truck because his dad bought it for him. And then we just,
Yeah.
and I've said that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not innocent here. I've done the same thing. Like, I'm like, oh, that guy did that, or the only reason he has that is because of this, because I'm insecure that I have a little Ford Ranger or something. Like, you know, like, we all do it, and it's not, that guy probably is jealous of you of something, probably, like vice versa, and it's just a stupid thing to be jealous of each other. We're just all here in it together, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, well, that's all we have time for today. You know, I appreciate you, James, for, you know, for being on this podcast, man.
Thanks
No
for having
holds.
me on,
Oh,
inviting
yeah.
me on.
Yes, sir. So social media. Is there a way anybody can reach you on social media?
I'm a social media manager, so I have like 8 Facebooks.
There you
But
go.
my personal ones, I have I guess I do most of my stuff on Instagram. James the Red Cop on Instagram, and then I have a photography page, James Red Photography, and that's usually where I post stuff. I have a Twitter and Facebook, but I don't barely use that personally. Facebook's like work to me, and Twitter's just kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I am, Instagram.
Awesome. And you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram. I don't have a Twitter, but No Holds, of course, on Facebook and Instagram, and then Jeremy S. Duran on both Facebook and Instagram. But hey, I got some merch right here. Right now, this is just a trial run. We'll see how well it goes. But if you want one, if you want a shirt, let me know. And but yeah, that's all we have for today. But until next time, we out. Peace.
Peace.